This is a Stock Trading Reality Podcast, episode 71.
I guess fantasize on how big that one could have been had I left a couple of employees in there. That's where I kick myself way more than ever on a losing trade.
This is the Stock Trading Reality Podcast, where you get to see the realistic side of a trader's journey. Get inspired and stay motivated by everyday normal people who are currently on their journey to trading success. And this is your host.
He took his mom to the high school prom dance. Quite the mama's boy.
Clay Trader.
Now hold up before you start judging me and turning off the podcast because you think I'm like a total mama's boy. Let me give a little context. I did go to an all-guys high school. I think this might have been a fun fact in the past podcast. But anyways, I went to an all-guys high school, and just the tradition at the high school is you have what's called mom prom. And it's like a huge deal, and the mothers absolutely love it. And I'll be honest. I mean, it was fun to go to, but it's not like it was. I don't think anybody super looked forward going to it. Now it would be a lot funner just because I'm past like the I'm too cool in high school type stage. But anyways, yes, I've gone to prom 4 times with my mom, but I was not alone. So it's not like it was the normal prom. The normal prom I didn't go to because, as for you longtime listeners know, I was scared of girls. I am kind of still scared of girls, but that's a whole nother topic. But yes, I have gone to prom with my own mother. Chezz, have you gone to? Did you go to prom ever, Chezz?
I did go my junior and senior year.
Second question: was it with your mom?
No, it wasn't.
Okay.
It was with
I was nervous.
with my aunts. No, I'm just kidding.
This is unscripted.
It wasn't
so
with my family members.
Okay, because like this is unscripted. So I guess after I asked it, I'm like, oh crap! I really hope that you didn't have like a really kind of pitiful type child where you had. Anyways, we won't go down that because maybe there's a listener out there that really had to go. So if that was you, hey, I hope everything worked out and you had a fantastic time. So you have no experience with going to the prom with your mom, but you did go twice. Then was it with Kelly?
I did go twice. No, it wasn't. Kelly went to another school at that point. But yeah, I had a great time junior year and had an awful time senior year. But I was always very reluctant to go. I was like you said, too cool for kind of school events, and they're not cool, but blah, blah, blah. But yeah, I'd always go reluctantly, but I did end up going.
Nice.
With girls even.
Yeah, with the girl. Fantastic. Yeah. So well done to you. Well, we better hop right into this because I know the interview went kind of long, but that's fine. It was a great interview. Today we are talking with Mr. B. That is the name he goes by in the chat room. If you've been around a while, I'm sure you've heard him. Or I should say, I'm sure you've seen him. I'm sure you've seen the little bee animation GIF, whatever you call that thing that is posted. But he's a great member. He's been around a long time. We got off to a little rough start before he joined, and we'll talk about that more in the interview. But we go down some great rabbit holes, don't we?
Yeah, there's a ton of great analogies, and there's a lot of good rabbit holes, that's for sure.
So all sorts of good stuff we talk about. Quite a bit of kidding goes on. And yeah, we just have an all-around good time. So let's just hop right in and hear about Mr. B. Well, Mr. B, welcome to the show.
Excited to be here. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
We had a little conversation. Do I want to call him by his real name or Mr. B? And everybody knows him as Mr. B. So I'm going to go with B. And he made the comment that everybody calls you that normally. So this is totally, nobody's being offended here, right? Calling you Mr. B, you're not taking any offense.
No offense whatsoever. Mr. B is good. B's even better.
All right, I'm going with B then because that's even shorter. So, Chezz, are you on board? B all the way here?
B all the way.
All right, excellent. Well, B, first off, thank you for joining us. A little context here. It's actually about 6 p.m. Eastern time, so it's in the evening, and it's already been kind of a long day, I'm sure, for everybody, but B was still willing to come by and hang out with us, so thank you for that. And you have listened to other podcasts, like you said, so you kind of know what's coming, but we're going to start at the very beginning. What the heck got you interested in the markets, and what caused you to decide to kind of take that leap of faith and start to put some of your money on the line?
Well, it really started when I was a kid. I always had an interest in it, always wanted to learn about it, but never had the tools to do that. Obviously, you can hear I'm not from the U.S., so growing up, it just wasn't really something that I had access to. Moving into the U.S., I took a leap of faith to learn more about it, and happened to stumble across this guy on Twitter who was just posting these crazy things, and I had to figure out who he was and how he knew them, and why he was rated the number one guy on so many chats. So that led me to you, Clay, and our infamous first encounter.
So that's so you had no kind of interactions with the market kind of prior to that, did you?
Absolutely not. No, not even a single trade.
Clay, this is kind of rare because usually people will seek you out after they've either done something catastrophically wrong and lost a ton of money or something. It's rare for somebody to actually try to go find somebody who knows what they're doing prior to trading. Is that safe to say, Clay?
Yeah, I'm thinking. I can't think of anybody really off the top of my head where, yeah, it's not, hey man, I've lost a bunch of money, or I'm stuck in this position. What do I do? Or anything like that. So definitely a rare case there. So just so I'm understanding right here, B, you had an interest as a kid, and then literally years went by. I mean, you're not by any means an old man, but you're definitely not a little kid anymore either when you first probably got started. So, I mean, that was a long journey. Am I understanding that right there? You got interested, and then there was a huge gap before you finally started to seek out to get more involved?
There was a massive gap. You're correct. Probably about 15 years.
Wow.
And during that time, I never went to college or anything. I took what was supposed to be, I guess you call it a gap year, and it ended up being about a 10-year gap, just traveling and working and experiencing life a little differently. And when I finally settled down, if you want to call it that, that's when I decided to go back to that original interest and that just learning more about it. It intrigued me that people can put money in a certain place and minutes or hours or days or months later take it out and it's worth something else, or not worth anything. It certainly goes both ways.
So would you say that's kind of your main reason why you got in it, because of more so the fascination factor, or is it because you wanted to make money, or was it just straight up, that's super interesting, I want to learn more?
It was very much, I'm not a great golfer by any means, but it's the same feeling for me, because it's something I don't believe anyone can master, but you can keep trying and get better at it. But you can practice for a year straight, go out there and hit the ball differently every time, and that's sort of like trading. You can have a plan, but you got to be ready to play whatever lies there, because it doesn't always go the way that you planned.
Excellent. Chezz, I might start tearing up over here. You know that I'm a big fan of analogies. That was a pretty good analogy.
And I was actually going to jump in the middle, but I was like, I have to let him finish this analogy because I can hear Clay tearing up, and I might have to, pick up the podcast from here because he'll be too weepy-eyed to finish.
Yeah, fantastic analogy. And I asked Mr. B that because, there's always a bit, because I don't know much about his journey. I just know where he is now, and he's doing well. But he answered it the way I thought he would, and he got in it because he was fascinated. He got in it because he liked the challenge of it. He got in it because, hey, there's, like you said, I can put money here, and then the money can be worth more, or it could be you could lose it all. That's fascinating. And the point here is that ask yourself as a listener, why are you listening to this podcast? Why are you thinking about getting into the markets? Or maybe why are you in the markets? If you're just in it, I want to make money. I saw some fancy, guy driving around in a fancy car. I saw these guys partying around on a yacht, and these girls got these string bikinis on. That's why I want to get into trading, because I want to drink Cristal every single night. If that's your core motivation, you're not going to make it. You're going to burn out, and then eventually you're just going to turn into a gambler, because you're not in it for the challenge. You're not in it like B said.
Or you should have done what Mr. B did, is take a 10-year gap and then do all that stuff first, and then come into the market with fascination in mind.
Yeah, come to the market with $200,000 of debt because you went out on yachts and fancy cars because you couldn't afford it. But yeah, so the point here, and this has come up many times before, but it really is kind of the backbone of if you have any chance at all. You got to be getting in this because you like the challenge. You got to be getting in it because it's fascinating to you, not because I want money, I want this, I want that. Just ask yourself and be honest, because you might save yourself a lot of headaches and maybe even save yourself some cash. I mean, if you're just in it for the get rich quick, go to Las Vegas, because that's, the market is not going to treat you well. So
don't make yourself gray over it. Go, like you said, put it on the blackjack table or roulette or something and enjoy it. But if you learn very quickly in this game that look at Clay, he's balding already. He's a perfect example.
It's the stress is killing me. And Chezz, we should rename this podcast to we used to have more hair than what we currently do have right now.
Trading makes you aging or something. Yeah. I got to think of something witty. I'll have to put it out to the community for that one.
No, the reason, and this is the perfect segue, and you didn't mean to do this, Mr. B, but thank you for the setup here. The reason I don't have as much hair as I used to is because I have to deal with people like you when you first approached me with the skepticism that you did. So that's actually why, because I got to deal with jokesters like you. So like how I turned that on you, B?
Let's talk about that for a minute.
Yeah, and I want to I honestly, now I've communicated with many people, but in all honesty, I remember B's conversation because my second daughter was being born. We were in the hospital just waiting and, just kind of waiting. And I remember checking my phone, and then there's this B guy who was just, well, I'm not going to steal your thunder, but I do specifically remember this because I remember the setting where I'm thinking, what is going on here? So, but to fast forward back to where you left off, kid, you were interested, 1 year gap turns into 10, 15-year gap. You start to search the internet, you find this clay trader guy, so I'll let you pick it back up from here.
Well, I found this clay trader guy among many other people as well, claiming to, give you the yachts and the cars and the crystal and everything else that comes with it. And, you didn't need much, maybe $25,000, $50,000. Just have that, give them maybe $10K. I'll shoot you some emails here and there, let you know when to buy, when to sell. Just got nonsense written all over it. So I thought, you know what? I don't have a very big budget. I'm a young guy, looking to get married in the very near future. Let me shoot this clay trader guy an email. And to my surprise, he responded very, very promptly. And that immediately spiked some interest because he responded. I forget what my initial question was, but he, very nicely answered my questions and said, if you have anything else, don't be shy to ask. And my next question, being a Jew, I tried to have him, kind of throw me a bone here and give me some of the information at very little to no charge. And he was one of the first people out of everyone I spoke to, and I did my fair share of research. He said to me very nicely, look, I know what I've got. I've got hundreds of reviews from people. I believe in my product, and if this isn't for you, and you're not willing to commit to your education, well, good luck to you. And it just annoyed me that he did that because here I am looking for help and not looking for someone to say to me, buy this ticker symbol at this price on this day. That's not what I was looking for. Anybody can find that on any one of the chat rooms that are out there. I wanted to learn more about it, and I knew that he could do it, but I was so scared of committing that money without actually seeing the product firsthand. All I had were reviews. And yeah, I know I'm repeating myself, but when Clay basically gave me the finger and said, I don't really need your business, so good luck on your journey of trading. He just struck a nerve, and that made my curiosity peak even more. And I knew at that point I was signing up with him. The question was, how much am I going to get him down in price? and that didn't work either.
I don't remember what were your negotiation tactics? What did what did
Let's
you try
put
to
it
pull
this
off?
way. I'm now a member of CTU, and I have been for quite some time now, maybe even going on 2 years. And I still haven't got a free T-shirt, by the way. I did get a small discount, a very small discount. I don't even think Clay knows about it, so we're not really going to go there. Let's just say you can discuss that one with Nate sometime.
Interesting.
Nate, step into Clay's office.
Yeah.
Agent Nate.
Nate's officially filling out an application on monster.com right now, so Nate just got ratted out, so but a little bit of a discount. So
a very small discount, and it helped me just because it was really a matter of, can I sign up for CTU now, or do I have to wait another few more months until I've got the extra little bit of money? And I'd been in the chat rooms every day. I know that, Clay had been even using some of my examples, both good and bad, in CTU, and I wasn't even able to see them, and it bothered me. So I knew that in order to get the most out of it, I had to put everything into it, and it didn't help just robotic trading. That was the absolute foundation for everything, but that's all it was. It was a foundation. The other courses just kept adding to that, the skill sharpening, even penny stocks, because I never really traded them. I mean, I saw what people were talking about in the under $1 room, and I just really didn't have any desire. I wanted to get into the bigger board stocks. I didn't have the money, and a lot of the people in there were saying to me, well, just trade $5-10 stocks and just don't buy as many. Your margins work out to be the same, and that's exactly what I did. And the rest is history.
That's right, and it's completely. I was kind of the same way because it's tough to know without kind of putting your toe in the water and seeing it. What you're going to commit to. And I just want to mention, for especially the new listeners now, this is something we kind of added as I joined the team. I'm actually able to give kind of walkthroughs to people where I'll actually show you guys. I'll share my screen. I'll show you how the courses are laid out to help ease that apprehension, because just like B over here, I had to do the same exact thing. I had to, I've been burned before. I've actually wasted my money with some other kind of products out there. And, this was kind of a last shot in the dark. But so we do, I just want to put that out there. We do walkthroughs. There's a contact page on the actual training page now. But obviously, and another great example that you kind of mentioned there is exactly what I tell people, is that the way the courses and kind of this entire program is designed is kind of like a house. And just like you said, robotic trading is the foundation of the house. And then we got to build on top of that house. And that's kind of just how it is built. But by no means am I saying that, you can't take robotic trading and be completely successful with that. But in my honest opinion, there's just, more aspects to trading than being able to kind of identify stuff like that. But obviously, you've been here for a long time. You've seen a lot, and, you're not the first person who said that even going through the penny stock course is kind of eye-opening to see the cycles of how a company might, say something or, start acting a certain way, and you can kind of spot things in advance. So it really does all tie together.
Oh, it's a fantastic course. I mean, even as someone that didn't trade them pennies, it solidified the fact that I didn't want to go anywhere near them. And for me, that was money well spent.
Penny saved is a penny earned in, I guess, an indirect sense. So now you mentioned that people were telling you trade, between $5 to $10 stocks, and you said you did start to do that. So how did that all, how'd that go for you?
Well, this is pre options, or at least before you had ever even released the options course. So
B is, B are B, Chezz, other people. They're my, I now, I appreciate them more than others because they were just stuck in the meat grinder. Where people now that are joining, they got all of CTU pleasantly laid out before them. But the evolution of it was just me listening to feedback and then building upon from there. So here's B, like I said, there is no options course at this point in time. So he thinks he's got to be stuck in it here. So this is why, especially now, I am very grumpy. I am maybe a jerk when people are trying to finagle me and will you come down in price? I would say, listen, you should be happy that everything's laid out for you right now like it is, because for people like B and Chezz and others, they didn't have that. They were freaking in this like washing machine of, pieces of the puzzle were missing, and I'll say that. And that's why I'm so proud of things, and that's why I'm so proud of the community, because they talked, they gave me good constructive criticism, and I built from there. And now we have the whole program outlaid. So B, in all seriousness, thank you for putting up with the whole meat grinder, because you were definitely in there for the whole evolution, and you saw it all break down. So
I was glad to be a part of that, and it really, especially for the new people that are listening to the podcast, I've seen Clay take huge losses, and he beats himself up on it. I remember emailing with Chezz just when options was coming out. I remember he had a bad day, and then I had a bad day, and we were sending emails up and down, to hang in there and to get back and even go back and paper trade a little bit, and it's all part of it. No one is, well, maybe Hooch, but all of us take losses, and losses are a huge part of it. But the community that has been built, I remember when the inner circle was still crashing and everyone was jumping on other platforms just to try and communicate. It goes back a while, but it's all, like you said, the meat grinder. I mean, everything is so well tied together now. And I was talking to a friend of mine earlier, and I mentioned robotic trading to him. And I actually said to him, you're so lucky. You can go on now. You'll probably end up chatting with Chezz, and he'll give you a little sneak peek of what's available in that course. I said, when I did it, that wasn't there. Clay told me to go take a walk, and so things have definitely changed, and I believe strongly that they're going to keep changing. But also just touching on what Chezz said, that robotic trading, you can absolutely trade with the knowledge from that course, but there's so much more available. Just the other night, today's Wednesday, so it must have been Sunday night, I decided to just watch a random episode from
the Sledgehammer. I remember this. That pumped me up when I saw that. That was awesome. Yeah. Sorry to cut you off, but got my this is awesome.
I randomly pulled up episode 27, and this isn't something that's available to anybody else. You've got to be a CTU member, obviously. And I watched about 15 minutes of it, just laying down before I went to bed. Monday morning, bell rings. First thing I look at is Apple, and it's got the perfect Sledgehammer setup. Within 3 minutes, I had made my money for the day, and I made a few other trades, but it was just so funny how I randomly pulled that particular episode up, and that's exactly the play that came the next day. That sort of stuff isn't in robotic trading. That's all been made since then, as Clay and the courses and the community has evolved.
But yeah, that was that made me laugh. So I'm like, oh yeah, and you had brought that up. I'm like, oh wow, a Sledgehammer. That was kind of been kicked to the curb. Those setups, nobody's really talking about them. And I think about in the live webinars, I haven't talked about that lately. But like, B's still into it. But after you said that you had just watched a past webinar, it's like, oh, that makes perfect sense. So that was cool how that all worked out. So options, well, let's go back to, this was pre-options when you thought you were having to trade those stocks, and then eventually the options course comes out. So I'm assuming that piqued your interest quite a bit, and then did you hop right into that, or where did you kind of go from there?
I jumped right into that, and just to give people an idea of time frame, this was just after the whole marijuana run, and going into the Ebola scare.
Ah,
It
yes.
it was
The
right around
good
that
old
time
Ebola
that
scare.
that if I remember correctly, it's right around then that the first options course came out, and there were some people that were really losing a lot of money because they weren't using stops. Um,
I know who you're talking. We all know who you're talking about with that.
yeah, I don't even know if he's still around, but that made me realize a lot. Just learning from other people that you can get burnt very fast if you're not diligent and you don't do things the way that you're taught to do things.
Yeah.
Um,
And obviously events like, we had Ebola, we had bird flu, we've had some other stuff like the government shutting down. All these, it's funny to see, as we all know that charts are really a gauge of emotion, but it's funny to see how, we can understand that. We can see that sitting on the outside. But some of these people, one in particular got really caught up in the hype and got really excited and thought this was a sure thing and this can't possibly go any higher, even though he's short. And, that if we had a chart on him, it was just a parabolic blow off, to
oh yeah,
complete
yeah. I
capitulation.
remember that day so clearly, and he would check in on chat just to see how things were doing, and oh gosh, I couldn't imagine being like that, and
And
having
how
to.
things were doing was eventually like a $20,000 loss. So
Oh yeah, and it was borrowing more money and putting more on a credit card just to settle things with his uh, whoever he was trading with, and it's scary. That I mean, it's not a game. That's what it comes down to. This is definitely not a game.
Yeah, there's definitely, while they're just numbers on our screen and candlesticks on our screen, I can assure you that, if those numbers go to zero and you try to make a withdrawal, you're not going to get anything. You'll get a little puff of smoke out of your CD drive or something. There'll be nothing left. But trust me, they took your money to put that in. But I want to kind of loop back a little bit to, I know this was, you had started. You were here pre-options, all of that. They had told with the amount of capital you had to trade some kind of smaller, probably more, I guess you can call them mid cap or small cap stocks. Now, I want to know how your initial trading went. Did you find, massive losses? Did you find, were you able to kind of listen to what is taught and, maintain discipline and keep your losers small? How exactly did that go in the beginning? Probably, were you even trading before the options? Were you actually trading those smaller names, or did you just wait until options?
No, I was trading them, and uh, keeping in mind that I'm not someone that sits and does this full time. Um, well, officially, I do actually have a job that I go to, 8:30 to 5:30 Monday to Friday. It just so happens that I'm able to keep my software up. I've got a couple of monitors at my desk, and I'm able to do that, to a certain degree. Um, One of the best things that I took out of the courses was that once I knew how to recognize setups, Clay then also teaches you how to actually put orders in and put stops in and do, you know, multiple setups that you don't actually have to be in front of the computer in order to trade. You can put your orders in and you can just get email alerts saying, bought ABC at X amount, you got stopped out here or you sold there. And it really took all of that emotion out of it. At the same time, my losses were very controlled. All of them were controlled losses. Uh, no more than, maybe, uh, I mean, a big loss may have been like $50. And, and I was distraught over that. It would annoy me, but I also knew that I wasn't sitting there watching every single tick go by and, oh my gosh, it went down. Oh my gosh, it's a wolf. And now it's a hammer and we're going up. That emotion's not there. And that really helped me along in my trading because it once you can identify those things on the sub $20 stocks, at least for myself, it it really just helped me out, and that's also what got me really to where I am now, where I'd still like to, like you, Chezz, get into doing it full time, but uh, I've got other commitments right now that I have to finish, and yeah, did I answer your question?
That was great. I was now that has spurred on this question. Have you ever really struggled with taking losses? Because some people, myself and most people, are just like, oh man, I don't want to take a loss. But you said, losses have always been controlled for them from the start. So was that ever an issue? Or I mean, if not, is there some sort of like Jedi mind trick that you play in yourself that makes taking losses easier? Because I think that, I mean, hey, I'm always looking for little psychological games I can play with myself. So I mean, talk to us about losses, because the impression that I'm getting is it was really never that big of a deal because they've always been small and controlled.
It was never that big of a deal as far as the losses go. There was one time that I had a big loss, and I I kind of blame you because you hadn't released the advanced options course yet.
Yeah,
So
what's wrong with you,
you're
Clay?
I take that's like I said, it goes back to the whole meat grinder thing. That's why you listeners, I don't want to hear your crap. I'm not giving you a discount because there's people out here that were getting chopped up because not everything was outlined. So I
you
take
know
full responsibility. So
yeah,
I apologize. I'll send you some
advanced
mind shares as
options
a
wasn't
repayment.
out yet. Um, I had no idea about the blowfish effect. I was now
Ah, there we
trading some
go.
options, and Apple was releasing earnings, and I put a fair amount of money. I mean, at least what I consider a fair amount of money in, thinking that this is, I'm trading a big board stock here, and I'm acting like it's a penny stock. This is going to the moon with options. And the blowfish effect went into play, and I lost about $800 in 3 minutes.
Now here's a question I have though. Isn't this, because I remember this and I actually use this as an example for people that you think you might think that options are your ticket to quick riches and fame, but I promise you there's more gears moving than you know. Didn't Apple actually go the direction you still wanted it to, didn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it went exactly where I thought it would go.
Yep. So for the
And
listeners listening out there, he was completely spot on right, but there's an aspect of options that he did not fully understand at that time that actually led him to an $800 loss in 3 minutes. So just so you guys out there listening, yes, Clay, I accept your thank you for being through the meat grinder, because I do remember these that period of time.
Yes, and I appreciate that, Chess, because yeah, options are great. Don't get us wrong, but it's not just a willy-nilly thing. Let's just start playing earnings. Let's just start throwing money around because Chess said it perfectly. There are many gears moving, and the gears aren't necessarily complicated if they're explained to you properly. But you better make sure that you understand the gears. So that's a vitally important part. But so going back to losses, you took a big loss there, but other than that, you've just sounds like always been pretty good at taking losses. So how
yeah,
do you rationalize a loss? That's just part of the game, or
yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
okay,
Absolutely, it's part of it. I've never ever told myself that every day is gonna be a green day and every day is gonna be a winner. What I do is that when I have a losing trade, I do my absolute best not to get gun shy and to get right back in with the same planning, and yeah, obviously you got to change your plan based on the particular setup that's being presented to you, but I don't let it get me trigger shy, because then I know it's going to go downhill. I know that I've put the work in. I know that I can look at whether it's a 2, a 5, a 15, a 30, a daily chart, and see what is going to happen. My biggest struggle to this day is being patient. You can see, I'm speaking in the third person here. I can see it setting up. I know a good entry, but it's just consolidating, and then 2 minutes feels like 2 hours, and now really want to get in because it's gonna make that move. And I'll cut a corner here and there, and all of a sudden I'm in the red, and now I'm digging out of a hole. Don't get me wrong, I trade the absolute best when I'm digging out of a hole. But if I can prevent that, that's the golden ticket for me, and that's what I struggle with. The loss isn't a big thing. It's when to do it that I struggle with, because watching every tick as a day trader, for me, it's like pulling out gray hair.
Interesting. So basically, you're starting to imagine things that aren't really there because you want to get into the trade. Is that what you're basically saying?
Yeah, I mean,
I guess define cutting corners. You say you start cutting corners. Let's dig into that, because that could be a entertaining rabbit hole to go down. So what are some corners you could cut?
it you know, a stock can be, or a trade that I'm looking to get into can be in a consolidation, and it very clearly forms a channel that it's bouncing between, and you're going to get a slight uptick or a slight down, and I'll think to myself, well, you know what, let me get in here. But if I get in on the ask instead of on the bid, stupid move. Do I do it? Absolutely. I'm not a robot, you know. If I think it's going to make that move a little bit sooner, I want to do it. But to me, I don't want to say it's forcing the trade, because maybe 70 or 80% of the time it does actually go that way for me. But I do get in too soon because I get impatient sitting and waiting for that pattern to play itself out.
All right, let me ask you this, though. The ones where you say you get in too soon, is that because it was a losing trade?
Uh,
Or do you have winning trades where you still say, yeah, I got in too soon?
yeah, I do. I
Okay.
have winning trades. One of, I guess, talking about losers, what are most of my losers? I'm scared to say it in front of Clay. Not using a chasing tool or a reverse chasing tool. I will see what's happening. I'll get overconfident. I'll eyeball the entry points, and I'll misjudge it, and that turns into a loser. Where I could so easily just
Make a couple mouse clicks. Yep. Yeah.
Absolutely. Chasing tools, reverse chasing tools, the Fibonacci, it works. Why don't I do it? I don't know. I'm going to blame Clay.
Hey, I'm here to have the bus run over me. Now, what I was asking, and I guess what I was trying to see what was going on is, a lot of times, I think everybody can relate to this, is, oh, I took a loss, therefore I did something wrong. Sometimes we don't do anything wrong. We were just wrong in and of the price just didn't go our way, because there's no such thing as a guarantee. So, but I mean, if you're winning, 70% of the time or whatever you said you were, if it does what you think it's going to do, then maybe those times where you're wrong, maybe you didn't hop into the trade, you just got in and it didn't quite work out. So, I mean, because 70% of the time you're getting into the trades and they're working out. So are you saying that you did something wrong because it was a losing trade? Because you can do everything perfectly right and still have a losing trade, is what I'm getting at. So maybe in a roundabout way, I'm trying to tell you, maybe you're being a little bit too hard on yourself. And maybe not, but from what I'm kind of pulling out from this is, are you using hindsight? Is hindsight trying to play some tricks on you? But you're trading better than I do. So, just trying to kind of decipher, what you were saying here.
I don't look over my trades as much as I know some other members do. I try not let, I guess, hindsight play into it. For me, it's a trade. Once it's over, it's either money made or money lost. especially to me, I find also with day trading, there's alerts. You got to check them out real fast. Sometimes you do have to make a very quick decision. Um, there's going to be losers. It's just as simple as that.
Yeah.
I knew that from day one. I never expected it to be a golden ticket, and it's not.
It's
You know,
very well said. But Chezz, I
there's
want to, because you bring up inner points. You don't look at your lose, or maybe you look at them every now and then, but it's not like you take a losing trade and then you just sweat's pouring over it because you just keep staring at that trade and staring at. And I'm with you. I am one where, okay, a losing trade, moving on. But Chezz, what do you think on the topic? Because I know a lot of people do like to look back at their trades or losing trades and really analyze everything. So, and I'm not saying one way is right or the other, but I wanted to bring Chezz in. What are your thoughts on that losing trade? Do you go back and look at yours, fine through a fine tooth comb? There we go. Or I mean, what's your thought on this, Chezz?
So I was actually going to sit on the sidelines for this because there really is two exact ways to look at it. And I've subscribed myself to something called Trader View, VUE, which you can literally import your trades and it will pull up a chart. It'll show you your entries. Some platforms have this, some don't. Interactive Brokers actually has it built into their platform, which is nice. It's nice to kind of show people, but at the same time, what I found is what I'm trying to do now, and this is a common thing across a lot of trading, is now you start to tinker. Well, how could I have gotten in this trade earlier? Or how could I have, managed this trailing loss better? And what you're doing is you're looking, it's not specifically the Holy Grail, but it's kind of how to manage it in a Holy Grail sense, how to get in sooner and how to get out later. And for me, I'm not discounting, just like Clay said, we're not discounting the value of reviewing your trades. But for me, I'm in the same boat as B now. Like I open and close positions, some of them are short as like, I'll put on a position one day and then the next day I'm trading on the daily time frame now. I could put on a trade one day and the next day I'm already out. It's not a thought in my head ever again. I will not even go back to that ticker. And I can assure you that when I started, I would look back at that ticker in a few days and say, oh, I'm going to get that money back. Ooh, I got you now. But that's for now. If there's an opportunity shows up for where I'm looking, I'll take the trade. It either works or it doesn't, and I'm going to move along from there. But there are a lot of people who kind of would swing the other way and say, without strict analysis, you're never going to know where your faults are. But it definitely goes both ways.
And to jump in there, and Clay, just relax. I'm going to use another golf analogy here.
Okay. Well, thank you for letting me brace myself this time.
If you go out there and you tee off and you slice the ball, you hook the ball, if you start beating yourself up on that first shot, every other shot is going to be a bad shot. You're thinking about it too much. You're not being natural about it. You're not just letting yourself do what you know to do.
Oh, preach it, brother. Preach it, B. Keep going.
Keep put in the work. That's what it comes down to,
sir.
And I'm a strong believer that the winning breeds winning, and the losing breeds losing. So if you don't jump back in, or if I don't jump back in, it's a problem, because then I get scared. I get hesitant to hit the buy button when I see something playing out, because I just put X amount of money in and I lost it, and do I have a daily limit that I'm willing to lose? And the minute that those thoughts come in, either stop trading or get up and do something about it, because the losers will get bigger and bigger and bigger if you're in that mindset, at least for me.
And the whole thing that I think is the overarching theme of context here is, do you have confidence as a trader? And this is you as in you all, meaning if you have confidence in what you're doing, and I'm not saying that you have to gain confidence so therefore you have to buy my course. I'm not saying that at all. If you've taken somebody else's courses and you think that they're quality and you have full confidence in what they've taught you, then when you have full confidence, you just got to trust the system. Trusting the system is, I don't need to go over every little detail of this losing trade, because to B's point, that's going to cause you to start to overthink it. And then, in other words, this is very common in real estate, paralysis by analysis. If you don't have confidence in yourself And even if you do, remember, hey, I have confidence in myself. I took courses. I am confident in what they taught me. I'm going to go with it. But if you fall down the slope of, oh, it was a losing trade, now I got to go over everything, like Chezz said, all of a sudden you're looking for the holy grail, and then all of a sudden, like B said, now you're thinking about it too much. That's all summarized. You're going to bring upon paralysis by analysis on yourself, and that's just not where you want to be. And pun intended. No, I guess the pun not intended there. Anyways, be very careful. Paralysis by analysis exists, and it'll get you if you pour over it. Now, again, are you saying that we should take a loss? I mean, if you're out there gambling, hopefully you realize quickly, wow, I'm just straight up gambling. But if you've gone through a curriculum of classes, again, whether it's mine or somebody else's, and you're confident in what you've learned, well, then be confident. Part of being confident, like B said, is, hey, this is not a golden ticket. There's going to be losses. I took a loss. Push it to the side. Let's go. Keep moving. Be confident in what you've learned. And don't allow the whole freaking out thing to bring upon you, because if you start analyzing too much, it's just not very good. So, but B, you said that perfectly with the golf analogy. If you slice the ball, hey, that's part of golf. Don't harp on it. Any final comments there, B? I mean, you look like you look pretty pensive over there.
No, I'm fired up.
Then let's go. Let the adrenaline pour out of you. Just start yelling if you want. I don't care.
You always talk about your losers, and I know I'm not the best out there. I'm far from it. Another thing I don't do enough of is let my winners ride. Do I use hindsight for some of those? Sometimes, yeah. It's always nice to, I guess, fantasize on how big that one could have been had I left a couple of employees in there. That's where I kick myself way more than ever on a losing trade. A losing trade, I cut it as fast as you possibly can. It's over. Move on. Cutting a winner too soon, that hurts.
Exactly. Is that sting? Chezz, don't you think those ones almost sting the worst than just, like B said, cutting a loser fast?
It's a residual sting. It's a sting that doesn't go away quickly. And yes, it is. I've probably felt more pain from cutting off things too early than too late. Don't get me wrong. Financially, letting something spiral out of control and have a huge loss sucks. But just like you said, imagining like, well, I could have had another 20% of my account if I had just, let it go, or just did this or just did that. And that's the cruelty of hindsight, though.
I mean, and also, and think about it from, like B said, so you cut a loser small. You get out, so you kept the loss small. But let's just say that, hey, you shouldn't have cut it. If you would have been undisciplined, it would have went in your favor. Think about what you can still tell yourself. Yeah, if I was undisciplined, it would have went in my favor, but it was only X amount, and that X amount is a very small loss. Whereas on the flip side, you're like, well, I cut that off, and it keeps going up. But, oh wait, there is no but here. The but is it kept going up some more. But, oh wait, the next but is it keeps going up some more. It just keeps getting worse and worse, where at least if you're too aggressive and taking a small loss, the but it was only this amount of loss. So sure, if I would have been undisciplined, it would have been fine. But, so, does that make sense? I mean, from a the way you can rationalize that.
I think also, sorry to cut you off, Chezz.
Don't apologize to Chezz. He's married now. He's good.
I'm used to this type of beating all the time. No, I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
Kelly's a wonderful wife.
I think it was yesterday. Sean had a trade with. I think she showed 3 trades. 2 of them were small winners. The third was Netflix, that she rode from the top of that Bear River all the way down. And she said afterwards she even rewarded herself with an extra employee. And that, I'm losing my thought here, but I'm not that old. It comes down to the way I justify those is if it's money still and in play, I guess, it's still not mine. It's not mine until I hit the sell button, until it's actually in the account and there is no chance of that moving up and down. and that's just another way I justify cutting my winners, because I say, well, it could have turned. It's a good thing I locked in the profits. I'd rather lock it in and know I've got guaranteed X amount than maybe losing it and getting 5 or 10% less if there's a quick move. But it comes down to psychology, and I think that's a whole nother podcast.
Yeah, no, but the thing here is that you at least recognize what you're doing wrong. Some people are literally out there running around like chickens with their heads cut off. They don't know why they're losing. They don't know why they're winning, really. Everything is just a random mess to them. So sure, you have little messes here and there, but at least you know what the mess is, what's causing the mess, and that's going to give you a better opportunity to clean it up. So I mean, we all have struggles. There's two types of traders, right? Those that are always having psychological struggles, and then there's liars out there. So but at least you know what the struggles are, as opposed to a lot of people that Chezz and I deal with on a daily basis that they're just straight up running around with their head, like a chicken with their head cut off. So looking at the time, holy smokes, where is it gone? We're definitely gonna have to have you back at some point. But where are you at right now with your trading? Are you exclusively options? Are you doing equities? What exactly is kind of the primary strategy that you're deploying? Not even necessarily on a daily basis, but whatever your kind of time frames are.
Well, on a daily basis, it's options. For me, I like the moves. I like that I can get in and out of them fairly quickly. I do also I've got long-term investments that I heard you talking about a very long time ago, that you've got obviously what you do day to day, but I do have my whole 401k invested in a bunch of stuff that's out there. I'm always adding to positions because some of them are companies that I believe are going to do very well, and it's not money I need or even want to touch right now.
You're talking retirement, right? Like long-term type investing
absolutely,
stuff? Okay, yeah. Big difference there when you're building position. Yep, okay.
Yeah,
yep.
Long-term investments. And then I've got my account that I use on a day-to-day or trading basis. But I always like to reward myself from that account as well. So while I'm building it, and I'm by no means like some of the other guys in the chat room. I mean, I don't trade with nearly as much money as they have, and good for them. I'm just not quite there yet. I've had a lot of expenses. I've just bought a new house, my wife and I, and we've just had a kid. So I've used a lot of money for other things, but I like to take a percentage of my wins out, either quarterly, and give myself a pat on the back, whether it's a new television or my wife and I going away for a weekend, because a lot of work goes into trading. A lot of planning goes into it. Yes, sometimes it can mentally burn you out, and I don't personally like to just keep the money in there like it's locked in a trade vault and you can never get to it. I got to be able to reward myself with it, and at the same time building that account up obviously is my big goal. I mean, right now I'm in a position where at the beginning of next year I'm really considering leaving full-time employment and doing this more on a full-time basis. I mean, my expenses, if I can make $200 a day trading, which is not unreasonable by any means, I can leave full-time work and I can do this. And there's a lot of driving factors behind that. My son is a year and a half now, and I come home, I take a little cute lunchbox to work that my wife bought me, and I come home and my little boy picks it up and he swings it over his shoulder and takes my car keys He says, "Bye, guys." I'll say, "Where are you going?" He goes, "Work." It's like, is that all he ever hears me say? You know? And it's very cute, but at the same time, it's such a driving factor to want to be able to spend more time with family and more time at home. And Chezz, you'll learn about that soon enough.
That's what I keep hearing. But I'm actually really glad you had brought up the point about how you do take a portion out, whether it's for expenses or just to kind of take it out of there, because like you said, it's not your trading vault. That's something I did not do for a very long time, and I think mentally and just part of your psychology of it. Once that is in your hand, and you buy a milkshake with it, or you pay for something with that, your brain starts to understand that all the hard work you did is paying off for something. And so there's a lot of people who just go, I want to take my account from 2,000 to 200,000, and you run it up to 198,000, but if you never took a dollar out of it, you've never actually touched that experience, that used it, and mentally you've just been sitting around poking at the computer. So I'm glad you brought that up. That's something I wish someone had told me a long time ago, and I hope all the listeners out there take value in that. But another question I did want to ask you is, what specifically do you have on your chart? Are there any? Are you using a MACD, an RSI, any specific moving averages, or do you keep it kind of pretty basic?
I use the MACD, the RSI, the MFI, 2-minute chart for finding positions to get in and get out at. Once I'm in a trade, I'm always watching the 2-minute, but 5-minute to me just makes more sense in options because 2 minutes is too fast. I can get a better read, I feel, off of a 5-minute chart. But I'll go back to the 2-minute, if things change and I need to adjust something. 15 minutes always up, daily's always up, and SPY is always up. The indicators, I don't use them as much in options as I did in, just trading regular stocks and buying, shares of that. To me, the indicators were much more useful when I was setting up, swing trades, or just longer term. And when I say long term, I mean, a day to 10 days. I really don't use them very much for option trading. To me, it's candles and what those candles are telling me, the direction they're going, and then Bollinger Bands. I do use those for options because I love either riding them up or down when there's a gap, and it's just fun, man. That part of it to me is fun. I take great pride in watching it just ride that Bollinger Band up or down, whichever way you're going.
Whichever way. It's like those candles almost drag that thing sometimes. So it is. I know exactly the feeling where it's just in cruise control right up along there. Well, I know you've listened to other podcasts, so you're aware that Chezz has a time machine. So if Chezz were to lend you this time machine and you could go back to the start, what bit of advice would you give I'm very curious here because you were not one of these people that like got stuck in a pump and dump or like lost a bunch of money in like Forex or something. So what bit of advice would you give yourself at the very start of all this?
The market is not going anywhere. Don't be, so hard on yourself and rush to get into it, because really, for me, paper trading was just as fun. And I did do some paper trading. I treated it as a real account. I changed the amount to exactly what I had planned to fund my account with. And if I took a loss, I wasn't going back to the reset button on Tuesday morning. That's all I had left to trade with. And it was a lot of fun because it was an opportunity and a very safe place to test those skills. What would I do differently? I would have worked a little bit harder at some of the skill sharpening stuff, because I definitely made some unnecessary mistakes in my real trading that could have been prevented. Um, Wedge patterns, they still play mind tricks on me. A falling wedge, I just can't wrap my head around it sometimes. And it's so simple when I'm not sitting in front of a live trade. So I stuck something up right behind my monitor, with arrows. You see this, you know which way it's going. And I just take more time. There's no rush. And that's all I do. I mean, honestly, Clay and Chezz, I wouldn't do it that differently.
Like I said, I was gonna say you weren't one of these people that opened up a huge account, played penny stocks, drank a bunch of Kool-Aid. You're one of these people that had a big account and then went to like the futures market. I mean, you played it kind of boring, to be honest. You played it conservative. You took it relatively slow. It sounds like the one critique you'd give yourself is maybe slow it down a little bit more because the market's not going anywhere. So
you had fun with it. What the hell? You're not supposed to do that. This is supposed to be a land of sorrow and sadness. No. So yeah.
And even when advanced options came out, I mean, I was so excited. I remember Clay sending me emails, hey, just finished, episode 6 and 7, and check them out. You're going to love them. And I was flying through them because I was so pumped up that the advanced option stuff was out there. And I was putting a lot of pressure on myself to get through it. I was still working full time. I was coming home. I was sitting and studying it and watching the videos, and then trying to, TDA, just run through like virtual trading. I wasn't doing it to make $1 million. The extra money, yeah, it's awesome, and hopefully in the future it'll become more of a full-time thing. I hate the word full-time. I don't want to be full-time at anything. But such unnecessary pressure for something that I found so intriguing, and still do. Love the challenge. Absolutely love the challenge.
Yeah, and I know the listeners out there can actually hear it when you're legitimately fascinated by the market and how it moves and kind of reacting to it, and planning where your spot's going to be and where you're going to attack. So, and I just like you said, we all would love $1 million tomorrow. Okay, don't get me wrong, but at the same time, if you don't stop for a moment and kind of recognize the path you're going on, and if you make this market 100% of your life, and you are, and this is speaking from experience here, if my emotions are fluctuating with my P&L, then maybe I need to kind of recognize that what I'm doing here is to only help my life, my family, there's much more to that, and there's plenty of time to learn it, and that pressure is not going to kind of provide you any help at all. But I speak for Clay and myself, and I say this has been an absolute pleasure to speak with you this evening now. But there are, actually the most important question that I'm required to ask you, and that is, what is your favorite movie?
It's a series. Deadliest Catch. I'm hooked.
Oh, went the TV show route. We'll take that.
Ever since the first season, I don't know. There's something about those rough waters and being a crazy fisherman and making like $50K with an hour's sleep over a 4-month period. There's something that just makes me want to do it as well.
It's definitely it's adventurous. It is an adventurous business. Almost, you say rough waters, that kind of made me think of trading. Trading can definitely have some rough waters too. So you never quite know what the sea, aka the market's going to throw at you. How's that for an analogy? Was that pretty good?
You're right on point.
Not as good as his golf one, but
yeah, that's he set the bar way too high for that one. So what about food? What do you like to eat? And followed up with dessert.
Let's just go straight to dessert. How does that sound?
Hey, whatever, you're in charge. Whatever you want.
I'm in Palm Beach County, Florida, and I live about a mile from the old key lime house. Key lime pie, baby.
Very nice, very nice. Now, so what do you do for fun hobbies outside of the market and obviously your job?
Motorcycles, big passion. I'm down to one now because of my son and my wife. Obviously, I've had to slow things down a little bit. as life snuck up on me. I just love, spending time with my family, my dog, my son is everything. Just watching him grow and learn new words and just trying to see life through a young kid's innocent eyes again. I just love that. And, my goal's just be a better person tomorrow than I was today and be there for my family and just have fun, man. It's all just fun at the end of the day. I mean, we can't take anything too seriously.
Cheers. And I'll just chime in. My daughter's actually like a year and a half, 2 right now. My second born. Yeah, that's a great stage to be in. Like their perspective. Yeah, you can't. You just got to have a year and a half year old to really understand what B and I are talking about. But yeah, it's a fantastic age. So, anyways, 3 words. These 3 words have to describe what you would consider a successful trader. So, what would they be?
Disciplined. Oh man, you're getting me. Okay, so I'd say disciplined. I'd say relaxed
Nice. I like that.
and inquisitive.
Ooh, I don't even know what that one means. I think that means thoughtful. I've heard the word.
Thoughtful. You've never heard inquisitive?
I have. I'm not sure I exactly know what it means.
You
So
want to be inquisitive. You're
yeah, you're
inquiring
thoughtful.
about.
I just want to make sure. Hey, I never proclaimed to get a high ACT score, which will never be a fun fact, by the way. I will never reveal what my ACT score was because I don't need people. Anyways, B, in all seriousness, we're definitely gonna have you back. There's no doubt about that. A lot of good stuff. I love the rabbit holes we went down. So this was some fun stuff.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I didn't realize I'd be able to see your good-looking faces.
I mean, Chezz and I, when it comes to, you set the bar high with analogies. Chezz and I set the bar high with our, I was going to say exquisite good looks. Is that
Exquisite.
exquisite?
Exquisite good looks, but I just wanted people out there to know Clay originally hired me for marketing purposes to do some bathing suit advertising shots, and
I can see why now that I've got a good look at you.
That marketing will be coming with Chezz and his Speedo on a yacht with all sorts of, actually the marketing is a woman saying, you trade stocks like that, like me, this is what you get. And it's Chezz standing next to her, just dancing around and, and pouring, Cristal all over his own body. So, all right, we're starting a whole nother rabbit hole that we need to wrap this up. So in all seriousness, B, thanks for taking time out of your evening. And we'll definitely have you back. So thank you, sir.
Guys, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you. And Clay, really, thanks for turning me away at first, because little did you know that it would keep me around a whole lot longer, and I do genuinely appreciate that. What you offer has changed what I thought I knew, and just given me so much more. And if anyone's out there even debating whether to put money in an account or actually spend a bit of time learning what to do with the money when it's in that account, just listen to everybody else. There's all the time in the world to,
like you said, man, the markets are not going anywhere. So
yeah.
You are welcome, but also thank you to taking the tough love as it was intended as tough love, and you grasped onto it. I struck that nerve, like you said, and the rest has been history. So
I do have one request.
Okay, I may grant it.
Can I get that free T-shirt?
Well, you've asked so many times that I out of just pure annoyance, yes, we'll definitely send you a shirt. You just got to pick out which one you want. So because there's 2 available.
Surprise me, Clay.
All right, we'll surprise you for sure. So there he goes. He tried to get a discount. He got a little discount. Now he's got a T-shirt. So well done, B. For you listeners out there, a few final requests. If you're listening on the website, then click that share button, please. Leave us a comment below. We do read all those. If you're listening on iTunes or any of the other podcast players, please subscribe. Leave us a rating if you have some little extra time. Then you can keep up to date and everything else. And also for you YouTube watchers, which, like I said in past, the podcast seem to be picking up a little bit more momentum even on YouTube. So click that like button and leave us a comment or subscribe to the channel to check things out. There's all sorts of stuff, live trade videos, video chart analysis videos, other podcasts, lots of good stuff on the channel, so definitely check that out. So thank you again to B. Thank you again to all you listeners out there. We'll see you back for the next episode.
This has been the Stock Trading Reality Podcast. Thanks for taking the time to hang out. To learn more about Clay and the Clay Trader community, including the trading team, premium training, and more, visit claytrader.com.